Folks, welcome to an all-new So Bad It's Good. This is your pal Ryan, and this is your Thursday episode. I am coming to you live from Las Vegas. This is Wednesday night, very late into the evening. I got to tell you, folks, I'm pissed at Bravo right now because what do you mean you release one of the best episodes on top of an amazing season of Salt Lake City on the week of BravoCon, and you don't give me a screener, so I have to stay up super late and talk about this amazing episode because I can't put it off till next week. I mean, the moment will be gone. I mean, what we witnessed last night was an hour and 15 minutes of cinematic genius on television, on top of an already amazing episode. But last night, Salt Lake City, you guys, it started to get darker, right? It was always a dark show, but not dark like The Valley or The OC, but dark, but funny dark. And this had the funny, but it got darker and darker. And there was a mystery, not a murder mystery, but a who is telling the truth on this airplane. Meredith Marks potentially bullying Brittany Bateman within an inch of her life. Who is telling the truth? Lisa and Meredith on one side, and then the rest of the plane on the other side. And how come I go on TikTok and I see every plane fight known to man? I've seen strangers. I can point you in the direction of like a good 72 hours of plane fighting. And how come we have no footage? If Katie Janela was on this flight, we would have this footage. How come 6 seasons in, none of these ladies thought to audio record or screen record? Like, I mean, come on. What are we, amateurs all of a sudden? I don't think it's fake. I don't. But man, it is crazy. And so the mean streets of Salt Lake City, they're not even safe when they're flying a plane. By land, by sea, I mean, they're tragic on a boat. They're tragic on a plane. They're tragic at a hair salon. It is truly magnificent. And I can't believe within the next couple of days, I'm going to see everybody. I'm going to see all of these Salt Lake City housewives. And what do you tell them? Good work? Great job? Way to be insane on television. You've provided me hours of endless entertainment. You're making me stay up on the eve of BravoCon so I can talk about your genius. Oh, anyways, how are you? Hey, how are you guys? Oh my gosh. So sorry, it might sound a little echoey because I'm in a hotel room and this chair seems to squeak and it's very late at night. So who knows if I'll get a noise complaint. That's all I need is somebody to be like, there's a man making a seizure-like sounds. And I'm like, oh, no. I'm just imitating Meredith Marks. JK Meredith, you're not. Okay. So also, Dancing with the Stars recap with Rebecca. Man, what a star. A star is born, man. I have gotten so much positive feedback that I'll never let her come back on the show again. I mean, my ego cannot take this. She is that good on the I knew she was good in real life. And then to hear you guys, how much you've taken to her is just so amazing. Busy morning. I'm on Kristen Doty and Luke's podcast today. It's called Balancing Act. I did that interview at like 10:30 in the morning with them. And then I got in the car. I drove for 5 hours, got to Vegas, cleaned up, and then I had dinner at Vanderpump, one of the Vanderpump establishments in the Paris casino. And I met up with Mary Payne Gilbert from Pink Shade and Ingrid and Amy Phillips from Cabaret that's playing the next 3 days in Vegas. And we had a lovely dinner, so many laughs. And then I bumped into Michelle Collins. Michelle Collins was there. We talked for a minute. She is just so damn funny anywhere she goes. She was like doing like a 5-minute routine how the hotel that they're all staying at, there's no more floor-length mirrors because all of the Bravo celebrities have already taken all the floor-length mirrors. And so they offered like, hey, we'll send somebody to Target for you to get a floor-length mirror. I mean, she's going to be hosting a lot of panels this weekend. And remember, on Peacock, you'll be able to stream most of these panels the next day, and I'll be going live at BravoCon on Peacock, which you can stream. I think the first one is at like 10:15 in the morning before the Valley panel, and that will be with Sutton Strack. But I do 4 or 5 on Friday, 4 or 5 on Saturday, and a couple on Sunday. So I'm doing a rehearsal today at like noon, and then I'll be able to let you know what I can let you guys know, and I'll put it up on my Instagram. And so these are like little 10-minute interviews where we're selling products. I'm like Stacey Rush from Potomac. I'm doing my QVC best, you guys. The spray tan is starting to settle. This morning I looked like a blackout curtain, but it's finally coming together. Looking snatched, as the kids say. Anywho. The one thing, listen, there are so many things happening, and I have to remind myself we're going to have plenty of time to catch up for the rest of our lives. But there are so many news stories. There was a Kyle and Amanda Summerhouse news story that says they're living separately. I'm going to find out. They're both going to be here. I don't know. Is that polite to ask? Hey, are you guys separated? What? We'll talk about that stuff next week. And I want to let you know a programming note. On Monday, there's not going to be a pop culture roundup with Sophie. I'll be doing the OC recap on Monday. Tuesday will be the pop culture roundup with Sophie. I'm also going to be on Jeff Lewis Live on Monday morning, so I got to drive back from Vegas. It's just going to be this next 72, 96 hours is going to be insane. Pray for me, but don't waste a prayer on me. This is my Super Bowl, man. This is Christmas. I'm so damn excited to be here. And I'm going to be updating a bunch on Patreon, but don't worry. I'll let you guys know everything next week. But over the weekend, I don't usually release episodes. So I'm going to be hitting that Patreon. We'll probably go live a couple of times. I'll try to get you as much information as possible. If you need it sooner than next week, patreon.com/SoBadIt'sGood. $5 get you, at this point we have like 400 plus episodes on there. And as we said yesterday, that's my future baby's college fund. So I can't even start. I want to apologize for doing that. But at the same time, I want her to go to ASU one day, So the one story I did want to talk about that got released today is I got an email from TLC, the network of Dr. Pimple Popper fame, and Sister Wives and all of the 90 Day Fiancé franchises. They announced, and very wisely, but also very shrewdly, and also kind of like, wow, that's pretty shady. They announced a Mary Cosby docuseries going behind her church and if it's a cult or not, and the marriage to her step-grandpa. I mean, the whole thing. A 3-part docuseries. And you're like, oh, okay, well, is that coming out next week? No, it's coming out January 1st. What a way to kick off 2026 than a 3-part Mary Cosby docuseries. It's called The Cult of the Real Housewife. And it's going to unpack the allegations against Salt Lake City's Mary Cosby's church faith temple. Now, I have heard about this docuseries for the last year and a half. I haven't really told you guys about it because my thought was, I don't know if this will end up getting released. But it has gotten released. And, I'm going to separate. I have not seen this docuseries. We'll probably get the screeners sometime in December. And it's the documentarians that did House of Hammer, which I was in. So I think they do good work. And it's one of those hard things as a fan of Bravo. You kind of have to separate behavior. You have to, it's a weird quandary it puts the viewer in, right? Because I've told you guys all, this season, I'm like, how do I end up like agreeing with everything Mary Cosby is saying? How did I go from not a Mary Cosby fan to a deep Mary Cosby fan? Realizing that there are shady dealings with her church and the grandpa and all of this stuff. And it puts you in this kind of argument with yourself where you have to remind yourself that life is messy. We all get ourselves into weird situations. But at the same time, I don't want to excuse people's behavior. But at the same time, last night's episode, I'm sitting there, that last scene with Mary Cosby and Meredith. I'm like, Mary Cosby going, Meredith, I'm worried about you. Are you okay? And it was so genuine. It was so real. The last 2 seasons, we've seen so much from Mary Cosby in terms of emotional growth, or at least where we can understand her as an audience. And it bums me out that we're going to have to find out things that have happened. I mean, by the way, this stuff with her church has, we're talking years past, but it's going to be a tough start to 2026, potentially for Mary Cosby. Now, the press release says it's a gripping 3-part docuseries premiering Thursday, January 1st. I just find what a way to welcome in the new year. It investigates star Mary Cosby and the church she shares with her husband, Robert Cosby Sr., Faith Temple Pentecostal Church, and unpacks the allegations behind the headlines, revealing the darker and more unsettling truth. Now, you can see a trailer online. We're not going to break down the trailer right now because it's a little bit busy right now where I'm at, and I just need to get through this recap. We'll probably talk more about it next week. But I got a lot of text messages from friends today of just like, have you seen this? I'm like, are you kidding me? I was watching it on the car ride to Vegas because I was like, oh shit. So it's called The Cult of the Real Housewife, and it's going to elevate the voices of ex-congregants speaking out for the first time, including longstanding pillars of Faith Temple, the Enoch family, and provide deeply personal and disturbing accounts from family members such as Mary's sister, Denise Jefferson Okanada, and Mary's cousin, Dan Cosby, along with his wife, Kim. The docuseries also features investigative journalists and bloggers. You'll notice Up and Adam is in this preview, have been tracking the story from the beginning, as well as leading cult expert who can offer insight around a playbook designed to enforce loyalty in mind control cults. So yeah. Yeah. And like I said, what an interest, like they knew what they were doing announcing it right now, right before BravoCon. And when Salt Lake City is so beloved and Mary Cosby has become so beloved, they knew what they were doing because they're kind of hopping on and piggybacking on the attention that BravoCon is going to get this weekend. And anytime you mention Mary Cosby, you'll have to say this in the same breath. So it's very shrewd. It's very smart marketing, but it is very frustrating as a Bravo fan. But at the same time, I'm going to be very curious to see this. But this isn't funny like Salt Lake City is. It's not, So anyways, I wanted to make you aware, even though you probably already are aware. But yeah, bummer. But we'll cover this when, January 1st rolls around. We're going to take our first commercial break. We'll come back and we're going to start the episode, okay? Let's shake that shit off. Let's forget about cults. Let's only think about the cult of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City after this commercial break. Okay, folks, this is season 6, episode 9. It is called Unicorn Overboard because of the Jared Osmond unicorn that he gave for Brittany Bateman with his little voice, like, you are loved, you are loved. I have a video camera inside this and I would like to see your butt. You are loved. You are loved. The description the Peacock gives us says it's the final day at sea and tensions boil over as Meredith and Brittany's feud continues. Man, to watch these ladies thirst over this Captain Jason, like it is so much thirsting that I feel like it's going to work against him at some point. And he's going to be here at BravoCon this weekend. And I can't wait to watch how many girls and guys throw themselves at Captain Jason. I think there needs to be some sort of raffle of like a night alone with Captain Jason, And Heather Gay was on Watch What Happens Live after the Salt Lake City episode because Captain Jason was on Monday night on Watch What Happens Live. And he was kind of like, I didn't do anything with Heather. She's a great friend. Da, da, da. And Heather was like, on Watch What Happens Live, Andy said that. And he's like, well, if that's what Captain Jason tells all of his ladies, I feel bad for him. And then she's like, I'm kidding. So what is it, Heather? What'd you do? Well, I mean, was it just above the neck like Shannon Bedore? Above the neck! Which, by the way, guys, emergency. I just watched Shannon Bedore's Instagram story and her plane is getting delayed and she's panicking. And I'm like, we got to get Shannon to BravoCon. I watched episode 2 of the OC reunion. And I will say, Tamara had a better showing in part 2, but part 2 just was very, very boring. I'm sorry. I've got to speak my truth. We'll talk about that on Monday more. But also we'll have a Friday episode, but it'll be an interview that I did last week that I really like. Now, the description the Peacock gives us for this episode. I already told you that. Guys, I'm frazzled, man. This is going to be an unhinged recap. So can we do it? I think we can do it. Let's get into it. Let's get into the So we're starting with clips from the last couple of episodes and like Heather's in the water with Captain Jason going, I'm going to ride him like a fucking bronco. And Brittany is talking to Bronwyn and Bronwyn's like, I'm going to throw that fucking unicorn overboard. And then Angie K has her hair over her mouth and saying, oh, Lisa, you said, yeah, Todd was making out with one of my friends while farting the whole time. And Lisa's like, I did not say that. Like, listen, if you listen to yesterday's episode, you know I have tummy problems, so my heart goes out to Todd. Like, farters unite. You know what I'm talking about? Let's not be ashamed about this. We should be ashamed potentially about the cheating and all of that stuff, but the farting, like, justice for farting. You know what I'm talking about? And you guys might be rolling your eyes at me right now, but why? I think that says something about you. And Bronwyn, remember, stood up to Lisa and was like, did you say that, Lisa? You are dead to me. You are dead to me. Fuck you. You are dead to me. And then Brittany just looked like she had been put through the ringer. I mean, remember she puked and rallied at the end of last week's episode? And then she was like, anywho, she has her glass of wine. Like, I'm going to try to be classy after I puked. I saw something last week where on TikTok, somebody said that Seth is having a mistress. Have you not seen it, Meredith? It's all over TikTok. And when he goes, yes, she showed me. And then Meredith goes, I'm glad she's sharing it. And remember, Meredith, like, completely changed the way that she communicates because she's a little slurry. She's a little like, I've got a little elephant, man. I've got a little stroke. And then she started pronunciating everything beautifully. It was like unique New York, red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. I mean, it was amazing. Like I said, it was like an artist learning a different side of their art. But Brittany goes, I get it, Meredith, if you don't want to share. And Meredith's like, you stay away from me. And remember, it was zombie night, so they had like the saw through the heads, right? She needs to stay away from me. Urgh. And so then the below deck down under pops up and then that goes underwater. And then the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City image comes up. And we see a sunrise and we see the yacht. A beautiful shot of the yacht going over the ocean, right? And it's Heather's yacht trip, day 3. Whitney arises. The crew are just like, breakfast, 9 o'clock. They were doing yoga after breakfast at 9 o'clock. Captain Jason is doing the yoga. And Joelle was putting out the yoga mats for everybody. Whitney is like, ready for yoga? She's going around the rooms. Ready for yoga, everybody? This podcast today is sponsored by our friends over at Mint Mobile. Now, we're coming up on the holiday season, and my goal this holiday season is to get my dad to switch over to Mint Mobile. This is the perfect gift because Mint Mobile is offering unlimited premium wireless for only $15 a month. That is their best deal of the year, aka the only holiday gift I'll actually use every single time. And I don't think my dad listens or watches this, so he'll still be surprised. So you can get a 3, 6, or 12-month unlimited plan for $15 a month. Now, all Mint plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network. And you can bring your current phone and number over to Mint. There is no contracts and no nonsense. I use this. You should be using this too. So don't get your friends and family members socks. Get them premium wireless for $15 a month. Shop Mint Unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/sobad. That's mintmobile.com/sobad. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, and $180 for 12 months. Plan required, $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. 35 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com for details. And let's go. Let's do the yoga. Everybody get up, please. And Heather's like, Captain Jason waits for no one. Like, I mean, what? Captain, just steer the ship, man. I don't need you to teach yoga. Just steer the ship good. It's like when Captain Sandy, interferes with the chef. Just steer the ship, man. Right? Like on Titanic, like the guy wasn't, that's a bad example. Titanic ended up totally crashing in that iceberg. But I would imagine that captain wouldn't just be like, hey, how's the steak in here? Like, steer the fucking ship. You know what I'm saying? So I love the way these ladies rally. Heather's like, chirpy to Angie K. Chirpy, good morning. Angie K, remember, she puked the whole first day. The second day, she almost took off her phalange. She almost just snapped one of her fingers directly in half. But she looks great. She's out on the deck. Heather's like, chirpy. And Heather's like, good morning, Captain Jason. We're ready to do yoga with our bodies. Look how my body bends, Captain Jason. Does it remind you of our time in Australia? Heather says, luxury to me generally doesn't include athleisure. And we see Jason going, all right, when you're breathing in, I want you to breathe in. And Heather goes, but this is a yoga session that I can really get behind. And then she winks. You know what I mean? She's like, I'm going to peg Captain J. I'm going to put digits in Captain Jason's bum. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, Captain Jason's like, blow it out. Yeah, let's get it limber. Oh my God. I just looked at me I don't usually look at myself in the video screen, you guys. And I guess we're on YouTube as well. And I'm so sorry. The lighting is really bad. And I look like Jabba the Hutt. Oh my God. So Captain Jason's like, blow it in and blow it out. And Heather's like, blow it in like I blew you in Australia. You get what I'm talking about? Like how I blew you out in Australia? Ugh. Anyways, it's Brittany, Whitney, Heather, and Angie K lined up. And I will say, you can notice all of the ladies have yoga mats except for Brittany Bateman. Like the bullying that Brittany doesn't even get a yoga mat. So all the ladies are breathing in and out, and Heather goes, Jason tells us to breathe, we're going to breathe. He tells us to bend, we're going to bend. He tells us to do butt stuff, we're going to do butt stuff, right? And Heather's giggling, and Heather goes, I'm excited to see his downward dog. I'm hoping he'll Warrior 2 all over me. Calm down. Oh my God, like, please, you're like literally, this has got to be ruining yoga for a lot of people for the rest of the year. I'm hoping he Warrior 2 all over me. When I meet Captain Jason this weekend, should I ask him to Warrior 2 all over me? What is Warrior? Isn't Warrior 2 where you stick both arms out fully? How does that even make sense in a sexual way? But anyways, now Jason's moving his hips back, right leg back, and then just move the hips. It's all in the hips. It's all in the hips. Anyways, Heather starts making conversation during yoga. She's one of those people. Like when I work out, I don't want to look at people. I don't want to make conversation with people. Like, listen, I'm there because I can't afford a full gym at my home, right? But Heather's one of those people like, how you feeling, Britt? And Britt's like, I feel sunburned and I feel whiplashed, if that's what you're asking. It's hard, Heather, to answer your question. Because it's disproportionate amount of pile-on that I get for doing the exact same thing. And Jason keeps trying to teach the class of, yeah, you're going to be hot on that side. I got to get you a mat. Up for a second, Brittany. Up for a second. And Brittany's like, that's nice. Thank you for the mat. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. And so we cut out of that and we go to Meredith and Lisa's room. And Meredith, is just awakening. And Lisa's like laying like on the opposite side of the bed in the wrong direction. And Meredith is like, you know what? I think Brittany is disgusting. And Lisa's like, which one are you talking about? And Meredith's like, Brittany. And she thinks it's real cute and funny. And she thinks she's a Disney princess. And then we flash to Brittany like last season doing a twirl going, la. And Meredith goes, and you know what? She has the brain aptitude of one, which is so mean to Disney princesses. Like, is Meredith saying all Disney princesses are fucking stupid? Like, what are you saying? Like, Disney they can't be jazzed about this, right? And Meredith goes, what was it in Wizard of Oz? What was the Wizard of Oz character that lost its brain? And Lisa's like, it was the Tin Man. It was the Tin Man, Meredith. And Meredith's like, thank you very much. Yeah, she can be the Tin Woman. Oh my God. This is an amazing conversation between these two minds. And then Meredith goes, Whitney. Because remember, Whitney knew about this TikTok video. So Meredith, this is what I love about these ladies. You should be mad at Brittany because she brought up this rumor about Seth on TikTok. But then Meredith finds a way to not only be mad at Brittany, but be mad at Whitney as Brittany, but also be mad at Whitney as well, right? And Meredith's like, Whitney doesn't have a problem with it? She's not my friend. She's not my friend. I'll tell you that much. We cut back to the yoga. And Brittany says, I say something that I think is nice with good intentions, and it's pile on, and I'm kind of over it. I mean, okay, now in Meredith's defense, I don't know if what she means, like, because if you bring up a TikTok about your husband cheating on you, that's not like it's not like, oh, wow, that she led with kindness. You know what I'm saying? And Heather's like, Brittany, I think you need to be prepared for a mountain of shit. You tell some women at dinner that her husband's cheating on her. And then Whitney goes, you ladies are ruining my zen. You ladies are ruining my zen. And Captain Jason just keeps teaching this whole time. So I can't wait to see the reverse angle of this when Below Deck Down Under premieres next year. But like they're having a full conversation as like we're doing sun salutations. So We get out of that scene. We see the crew. Ben's shooting for a 10:30 breakfast, if that means anything to you guys. So then Bronwyn, and this is such a bummer because it's real mean girl behavior, is Bronwyn steals Brittany's unicorn that Jared gave her and brings it over to Meredith's room. And, they're going to like, hey, I'm going to sacrifice this unicorn. And Meredith's like, come on in then. Here. And Bronwyn's like, how are you, Meredith? And Meredith's like, am I worried about someone who has a pea-sized brain? Not really. Come on. So Meredith's way of handling this whole conversation about the TikTok is just to say somebody has a small brain. That's like her big defense. And Bronwyn's like, I've told her so many times, Meredith, don't start stuff. And she says, Meredith overreacted again. Another example of her going 0 to 100. And I was like, you put yourself in this position. You came to her with this. And Meredith's like, yeah, when I see a woman who is filled with hate coming after me, I'm going to respond. And she can take her own hate and shove it up her own where the sun doesn't shine. I'm talking about her asshole. You know what? And Bronwyn's like, well, do you want to shove something somewhere? And she's holding up the unicorn. And Meredith's like, where do you have in mind, darling? It is so weird. Like Meredith smiling. It almost feels like this scene was directed of like, Meredith, we want you to be creepy excited about this unicorn. There seems to be some sort of sexual tension between you and this stuffed unicorn. So Bronwyn's like, I don't know, Meredith. I feel like this is such a bad idea. And then they squeeze in the unicorn of like, you are loved. You are loved. And Meredith's like, did you say I want to swim? And Jared's like, good night, baby. You are loved. And they're all laughing like very evil stepsister-like, right? And Meredith's like, and Bronwyn's like, this is so evil, but should we do it? And Meredith's thinking, and she's like, yes, absolutely. She goes, absolutely. And Bronwyn's like, okay, the only thing is to pull this off, we're going to have to be in costume. We're going to have to be, there's too many people in this boat. And Meredith's like, let's do it. Let's get in costume. And you would think costume would be incognito, like a couple trench coats, maybe get on each other's shoulders, like a big trench coat with like, a 7-foot tall person, but it's just two women under a trench coat. But then they put in like Bronwyn and these fucking inflatables. I'll tell you though, it's the visual of these inflatables every time I think I'm going to hate them, and then I see them and I'm like, oh, this is Guillermo del Toro could never. This is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein on this boat, right? And Bronwyn gets so excited. Anytime anybody puts these inflatables on, she's always like, put this inflatable on. And it kind of makes me want to put on an inflatable. Oh, damn, you guys. I just had a thought. I should have brought an inflatable for BravoCon. Fuck! Anyways, now Meredith takes the unicorn and is showing the unicorn outside the window, and she's like, look at the water. Look at the water. I want to swim. And she's doing this weird, I want to swim. It's so, like, if I didn't know Real Housewives of Salt Lake City existed and I saw this clip, I would think it was like an A24 horror film. I would think it was like Hereditary or something. And Meredith in the Talking Heads like, I guess I can't throw Brittany overboard because the producers won't let me. So Uni will have to do. We don't call it unicorn anymore. It's Uni. And they're putting on the inflatables. And Meredith goes, I'm sorry, Uni. I do love you. As Meredith puts on her inflatable, she's like, wait, what am I? I don't even know what I'm putting on. And for a second, I thought Meredith was in like an existential crisis. What even am I? And then I just realized she didn't know what inflatable she was putting on. And Bronwyn's like, you're a pink shark, Meredith. When they're talking to Ed, Meredith goes, I don't know if I would say this is payback, but it's exactly what Brittany deserves. Period. You know what's missing in this whole equation? I want Seth, dude. I want Seth. Like, I didn't do anything in Columbus, Ohio. TikTok can go fuck itself. You know what I'm saying? All I want is your sweet behind in a bubble bath, Meredith. That's the only thing I want to TikTok about is me and you making sweet love in Canton, Ohio. Okay, so they're in the inflatables. They have Uni, and Meredith keeps doing the voice. I can't wait to take a dip in the ocean. This is the worst Pixar film I've ever seen. They're both inflatables. There's a unicorn. I mean, this is a crime against colorful cartoon animals, in a sense, right? And Meredith keeps going, get away from the mean hater. now they're going down the hallway. They're like, the hallway is clear. We're seeing like the boat cameras. Bronwyn's like, is the coast clear? Go, go, go. And so it's very funny because they are inflatables. And I will tell you, like I said, visual wise, they win. So they're on deck. It's windy. And Meredith is like, oh, Uni, it's time to fly. We're going to free you, Uni. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. And they throw the unicorn overboard. Like, I shit you not. And you know me. If I was there, you would have seen a grown man, a little chunky, just dive into the water over that unicorn. Because me, that's reality show museum shit. And when I first watched this, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? They let this Uni, this belongs in the Smithsonian. I feel like Indiana Jones, where I'm like, this belongs in a museum. How fucking dare you? And Rebecca was watching this and she was like, you know what? It's not cool to pollute the water like this. You know, we can't pollute the ocean. And she was like, this isn't cool. And I'm like, well, first off, it's silly. But yeah, I guess not pollute the ocean. Because then I was like, what if a dolphin fucking eats this unicorn and then a dolphin is just like swimming around and you hear the dolphin going, you are loved. You are loved. You are good night. You are loved. And then it turns out the unicorn is saved because we see it later in the episode. But for a second there, I was about to travel to where they are and just like spend the rest of my life looking for this prized possession, right? And then the unicorn's in the water and we hear a distorted voice. Good night, baby. You are loved. You are loved. So now all the ladies have gathered for breakfast and Whitney's like, everybody's quiet. Is everybody okay? Meredith, how's your toe? And Mare's like, it's sore still. I think I'm going to have to see a doctor when I get back. And we flash back to earlier in the season where Meredith is telling Heather Gay, I somehow walking in my bathroom kicked the corner of my shower and the toe is purple. And once again, I'm just in a collecting mood because I was like, oh my God, if I could get Meredith's dead toe for my reality show museum, that would be iconic. So I've got to ask Captain Jason about the Warrior 2 position, and I got to ask Meredith, how's the dead toe? Okay, this is good. But Meredith goes, I'm a survivor. I'm strong. I can deal with a lot of hatred thrown at me without a problem. And she kind of shoots Brittany a look, who's like right next to her. And Brittany rolls her eyes like, And Mary Cosby looks like she is just checked out. Mary Cosby is already back at Faith Pentecostal. She's put up a good showing and she's like just recharging, right? And Brittany goes, I have a hard time believing that, actually. And Meredith goes, I think you're filled with hatred. And Brittany goes, who thinks I'm filled with hatred? Who thinks I'm filled with hatred? And Meredith goes, I'm done with you, Brittany. I'm done with you. My bigger issue is actually with Whitney today. And Whitney goes, with me? She's like, do I get a scene? Cool. And Meredith's like, correct, you. And Whitney goes, what did I do? And Meredith goes, this little pea brain. And she's like facing away from Brittany. And Brittany's laughing. This little pea brain behind me, I barely know. However, and Brittany's like talking over Meredith. Brittany's like, I literally say one thing. And Meredith's like, however, it's like a musical where like, are they about to break into song? You know, like in the musical, they start talking over each other and then they'll be like, a unicorn in the ocean, Jared Osmond's distorted, creepy voice. And Brittany's like, you call me a pea brain and a hater? Oh, also, guys, I found out because I was like, when does this fall in Below Deck Down Under season? Like, how many charters are they on? This was their first charter of the season. So Below Deck Down Under will premiere with the Salt Lake episodes. I think. That's a rumor. And Whitney goes, Meredith, are you mad that I talked about it? Are you mad that I talked about the TikTok that Brittany showed me? And we flash back to Brittany showing the TikTok to Whitney. And it is like we can see it with our own eyes. This is a TikTok that does exist. They didn't make this TikTok up. And I love saying TikTok as many times as I can. And Meredith goes, the problem I have is we spent the last few days as a group agreeing that you were the one who really led the campaign? Is this a headline or is this some little, troll on the internet that's like no one has even seen? And Brittany goes, no, don't throw Whitney into this. Don't throw Whitney under the bus. And Meredith turns to Brittany, I'm not talking to you. And Brittany goes, just be mad at me. And when he goes, this is very easy for me to clear up with her. I got this, Brittany. Let me handle this. And Meredith goes, she doesn't exist. Brittany doesn't exist. Okay? My point is, you co-signed it and you didn't tell me. And that's what not a friend does. Everybody goes, she didn't co-sign it. And when he goes, I'm sorry that it looks that way. I told Brittany you have 3 choices. You either don't say anything at all, and Meredith's like flipping her hair back in Brittany's face. You don't acknowledge it because it's not true. So don't acknowledge it. Either you tell Meredith or I'll tell Meredith. So that's what you were trying to do the right thing, as Spike Lee says, Whitney, the best of your capacity. And when he goes, if I talk about it, and Meredith goes, yeah, trying to play friend to both giving her a chance to come clean on her own because she's a gossip behind my back. Very clever, Whitney. I see what you did now. And when he goes, yeah, I wanted to give her the chance to do the right thing. In a talking head, Whitney goes, the TikTok was nothing, but Meredith's reaction is making it a huge thing now. And by the way, that's what makes legends in Housewives or reality TV, is something small where you go, oh God, people on TikTok will say the weirdest shit. It's like Reddit. It's like 9 times out of 10, you can't believe it. But it's their reaction. And that's what makes legends, right? Even though I don't agree with Meredith and Lisa in this episode, they're legends, right? When he goes, she's pouring gasoline on the fire. And Brittany is going, it is a double standard that anyone can say all kinds of stuff about people's husbands. And I say one thing that is meant to be in kindness. And Meredith goes, oh, don't. And then Meredith really starts getting unhinged. She's not having a seizure, but it's like close. And Meredith's like, here comes the liar. Bravo. Here comes the liar. And the crew are talking to each other going, these are the loudest people I've ever heard in my life. This is crazy. I'd hate to be hungover around these people. And Brittany goes, oh, it's ridiculous. This is Meredith. And Meredith, she kind of bumps into Meredith. And Meredith goes, if you touch me. And Brittany goes, no, you touched me, girlie. You did that to me. And Meredith is wearing this ridiculous captain's hat. I feel like she's about to teach yoga like Captain Jason. We come back from the commercial break and Meredith's like, I don't want to be around people filled with hate. Everyone at this table knows you're filled with hate, Brittany. And Bronwyn's in Brittany's ear like, stop it. I'm trying to help you, Brittany. Take a deep breath. I'm trying to tell her to start with an apology. And Meredith's like, I'm done with her. You want to support her? I'll be done with you too. Threats out of Meredith Mark's breath. And Heather goes, are you fucking kidding me, Meredith? And Meredith goes, yeah, no, I'm not kidding. In a talking head, Heather, the leader of the group, goes, this is absurd. This is not 4th grade. This is not a dodgeball team. This is not making passionate love to Captain Jason in Australia. No, I'm joking. She says, this is not a dodgeball team. And for Meredith to be okay and move on from Lisa, digging up dirt about her family, she can apply that same spirit of resolution to her conflict with Brittany. And Angie's like, I'm not supporting what she did, but what I need to remind everyone. And Meredith goes, we spent 2 days. So I'm saying we're not doing that. And Meredith goes, we're not. And then Heather's like, she just showed us a TikTok. And then Angie goes, we can't support gout dick. And she points at Lisa Barlow, because remember Lisa Barlow said, Todd, that Bronwyn likes to suck gout dick. And we're assuming that Todd is the one with the gout dick. But after this episode, maybe Bronwyn's, there's a lot of gout dick going around. Who knows, right? And Meredith goes, break the cycle. Yeah, it's really important to break the cycle of abuse. Break the cycle. And, this one led by bad example. And Heather goes, so we're just throwing Brittany overboard? And Meredith's like, yeah. And it's so sad at this point, they actually do kill Brittany. No. Meredith goes, I'm done with her. And then Brittany goes, I'm a good swimmer. Throw me overboard. Yeah, see, that's one of her special skills on her resume, on her IMDb, strong swimmer. And I love that. Brittany is so wacky because she can take a lot of punishment. Like she's gotten about a season and a half right now of just extreme shit coming from all angles, and she's desensitized to it. Like she's like a war veteran that's like she's been too close to the explosions. So she's just like sipping her champagne. And Bronwyn's like, Mary, can you say something as a woman of God here? And Mary Cosby is just like, no. Doesn't even say it. She's like, no. And the talking head, Mary Cosby goes, they're not going to listen. They're not going to listen to God. They're not going to listen to anyone. If God came down and smacked them in the face, they wouldn't even snap out of it. They'd be so busy trying to get their point across. And it's a disaster. And I know if God came down, I'm sure Mary Cosby's right, but like, could we try? Like, God, if you're listening to this recap, first off, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thanks, big guy. Second off, wouldn't it be cool, like, if all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, like, God, like, popped into, like, the third part of the Below Deck crossover. It was, like, insane. And God's like, I usually hate Housewives, but you ladies are doing phenomenal work. But Mary's like, it's just a disaster. She goes, it's just a disaster. So Heather's like, you guys mull on that for a minute. I'm going to go change and try to hit on Captain Jason one more time because they're having to end the boat trip. And Whitney stands up. Whitney goes, I love my friends. And like Kris Jenner, I love my friends. Happy 70th, Kris Jenner. Yay. And then we just see the messy table that we saw so many fights over these past 3 episodes. And it just looks wrecked. Like this table has seen better days. Like if anything, Below Deck Down Under should burn this table or put it in the clubhouse at Watch What Happens Live. It's like, this is what I imagine the Last Supper table looked like. Doing a lot of religious themes, you guys. Sorry about that. So they're all packing up, and Bronwyn's like, the best part about leaving this vacation is I won't be traveling with any of these women because I changed my original flight and didn't fly with them. I had to rebook everything, including my flights home, so I picked one that I would be solo. It's almost like I knew I'd be sick of them by this point in time. But after what we hear allegedly happens on this flight, I would be so pissed to have missed this legendary flight, right? I'd be livid. Anyways, all the luggages are like getting taken out and, the crew's lining up. And wouldn't it be so funny if we found out like the ladies didn't tip these people anything? Because if you don't watch Below Deck, one of the big parts of every episode is seeing what the charter guests tip the crew. And it would be so funny if Lisa was in charge of the tip. And it's just like, it's an IOU. It's a 20% off coupon to Wendy's. You're going to want to keep that. They have great Frosties. Yeah. And then Heather, of course, has to do one more awkward, horny moment with Captain Jason where she's hugging. She's like, you're great on the job, by the way. I want to be inside you. I want to be inside you, Captain Jason. And Heather's like, I want to say the whole crew, especially to my dear friend, Captain Jason, my lover, that we have had the trip of a lifetime. And on behalf of my beautiful friends, I want to apologize for the fighting. We know that we put you through your paces, but you guys absolutely rose to the occasion. You were phenomenal. And this is a small token of our appreciation. This is coupons to Beauty Lab and Laser. We want you guys to go out in the town, think of us, live it up. So it's so great because, Below Deck Down Under, we will see them on the flip side going out that night, partying and bitching about all the women. And Jason's like, I'd like to think that meeting you all individually was amazing. Together, my God. It's like a hurricane coming back through here. But a really good hurricane. I've never felt like this in my loins, right? So everybody's hugging and kissing. And then Daisy goes, oh, I think you forgot something. Wait, hold on. And she goes, ladies, wait. And she has Brittany's unicorn. And this is a little staged because obviously the producers saw him throw it over. They got it, handed it to Daisy and said, you got to run it out. And Meredith sees Daisy and Meredith's like, oh shit. Okay. And Bronwyn's like, oh shit. Now Brittany's like, oh my God, stop it right now. I can't believe it. I thought it was gone. I thought it was lost. And then she feels it. It's wet. Has this been in Captain Jason and Heather's bedroom? What's going on? And Daisy's like, it was in the water. And Ben's like, put it in rice. And Brittany's like, who threw this over? And nobody's like claiming. And Brittany's like, no, really, who threw this over? And when he's like, I didn't throw it over. It wasn't me. And Brittany's like, did you throw this over? Angie, and Angie's like, I never do this to you. And Brittany's like, Heather, do you know who threw this over? I have no idea, Brittany. And then Brittany goes over to the rest of the ladies. You guys, who threw this over? Who threw Uni over? And it's silence. And Bronwyn's like, it was me. It was a joke. And then Meredith goes, I threw it in as well. And Brittany goes, you threw it in? You threw it in with Bronwyn? And Meredith's like, yeah. Uni wanted to swim. You got Tanner and makeup all over him, Brittany, with your 2-bit whore makeup. He needed a little dip in the ocean, so I taught him to do the backstroke. Yeah. And Bronwyn's like, it was supposed to just be a joke that made you laugh. I'm sorry. It's a classic Dave Chappelle bit where he throws a unicorn in the ocean. And when he's like, why would you think that would make her laugh? I don't get comedy. In a talking head, Brittany goes, I think it's really cruel for someone to try and ruin my gift. Jared went to great lengths and made a personal... Okay, listen, great lengths. You were at a fucking mall. No, you were at a Build-A-Bear workshop. Great lengths. Like, if you're at a mall already, you see a Build-A-Bear workshop, you're like, oh, that'd be cute. Great lengths. It's not like there's like Machu Picchu. Like, are you fucking kidding me? But Jared, if you're listening, I would love you to go great lengths for me. I would love, can you imagine my new daughter and Jared's unicorn next to my beautiful baby daughter when we have her in March? And, it's like, you are loved, daughter. You are loved. But Brittany's like, it's really sentimental to me, this unicorn that I just got on this trip. And Meredith goes, it was Bronwyn's idea. She's mad at me, I guess, now. Meredith has one of the best evil laughs out there, right? And then all of a sudden, boom! The screen goes dark. We see an overhead shot of the ocean. It looks like the show Lost with Matthew Fox. I was like, oh shit, did they crash land somewhere or something? And we hear this ominous music as we see the clouds in the sky. Ooh, ooh. And we're at Grantley Adams International Airport. We hear Heather Gay's voiceover before we even get on the plane. Meredith was completely out of her mind at the airport. Yeah, you get to those Hudson News. There's so many magazine options. You go crazy, right? And then Angie K, talking head, goes, we were all uncomfortable. She was yelling and screaming and crying because Brittany talked about our marriage. And then we see a bunch of quick cuts and flashback to Brittany goes, I saw something on TikTok today about Seth having a mistress. You're a liar. Angie in a talking head goes, she was making a scene in the airport, and I don't even know that she was aware of that. So this is interesting. Pay attention to the mystery. So most of what we hear takes place on the airplane. But Angie, in this dialogue, this is why you got to study it like it's a Shakespearean script. You got to go beat by beat, right? It's in the details. So Angie says it's in the airport as well. She's out of her mind. She's screaming. She's yelling at the airport. Now, I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days. And Rebecca was talking to me about this too, because that's what we talk about. Is there a chance? Listen, we've always joked. Is there a chance Meredith took an Ambien or something? Because I've never really taken an Ambien, but I've watched a lot of videos of people that take Ambien and then they'll wake up and they'll sleepwalk or they'll sleep eat. They'll have whole other lives when they've taken an Ambien and they don't remember any of it. Could there be a pill issue? I don't mean but could there be an Ambien issue? Could Meredith be I'm just taking something to loosen me up for the flight, and she just completely checks out? Or could Meredith, this is crazy, could Meredith have split personalities? Have you seen that movie Split? The M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dang movie? Have you seen that movie where the guy has 8 personalities inside his body? What if Meredith Marks is like that? And then I had another thought. What if Meredith Marks is all of the Salt Lake City ladies? There's only Meredith Marks. None of these other ladies exist. And we're just watching Meredith's imagination run wild. But that can't be possible because it's a reality show. Anyways, Angie says, I don't even know if Meredith was aware of that. And we see photos of an empty airport, all the seats in the airport. And Brittany says, I was the last one on the plane in our group. And where's my seat? Psst. Literally right in front of Lisa and Meredith. What would have been even better if the seat was 17C? Because remember Lisa last season on the airplane was 17C? So we hear a ding. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Our flight is now ready for departure. Cut to black. And then all of a sudden, we see a Meredith text message Meredith text messaging to Heather. I am livid. And Heather says, what happened now in the text message? And Heather goes, I slipped off into sleep and was awoken by Meredith raging and making a scene. She was just unhinged. Mary Cosby in a talking head goes, Meredith started reliving what Brittany said. And then we flash back to Brittany. TikTok, Seth, mistress. TikTok, Seth, mistress. Mary says started getting upset and started going off. And she dwelled on it, and she could not come back from it. And then we see Whitney's text message. Meredith is behind her, taunting her. And then Whitney goes, she is fucking unhinged. Mary goes, and she just spiraled for hours. Whitney goes, she was calling Brittany names. She was talking loud about Brittany so that the entire first class could hear. Brittany goes, someone grabbed my seat and shook it. Like boom, 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 and wine splashed and hair pulling. Whitney goes, they wanted my phone. They wanted to know if I had the TikTok on my phone. They want Brittany's phone. I mean, this really depends on how good Wi-Fi is with these planes, right? Because that's the problem. Sometimes these planes, great Wi-Fi. Sometimes you just don't get Wi-Fi, and they don't give you any explanation. This is not about the airlines right now, but come on, do better. Whitney goes, they want everyone's phones to see this TikTok. And then Lisa goes, Brittany was right in front of me. I grabbed the armrest and I said, Brittany, just give her the fucking TikTok. Can you imagine an unhinged Lisa Barlow? She's like the Babadook. Just give her the fucking TikTok. And Lisa goes, that's it. And then I sat back. But when you say the F word, it's not chill. Also, they've used that talking head where the makeup artist fucking did Lisa Barlow dirty and it looks like she has like a weird black eye. Brittany goes, it started to get so loud that I could hear her through my headphones. And she's yelling about me. And then we see Whitney's text message. They have been taunting Brittany the entire flight. And Heather says, they are being very mad. And Meredith goes, what happened is very simple. And then another text message from Whitney. I don't want to fly with these bitches. That's a great advertisement for Southwest Airlines. I don't want to fly with these bitches. Meredith goes, what happened is very simple. I vented to Lisa about Brittany. I have never engaged with Brittany. Let me be very clear. I never spoke to Brittany. And remember, this is lawyer Meredith. Let me be very clear. I never touched Brittany. There was nothing. Brittany says, I started bawling, actually. I just couldn't take it anymore. I've never been treated like that in my life. Meredith goes, as we were landing, and Lisa, by the way, TLC, don't do the Mary Cosby docuseries. Do the what the fuck happened on this air flight docuseries, right? That's how we kick off January 1st, 2026. What the fuck happened on this flight? I mean, listen, there's a lot of questions. Like, if this really was this intense, like I said, we've seen all these videos of people taken on flights. You're telling me nobody else in first class got this, and you're telling me Meredith wasn't arrested? Like Meredith wasn't taken? You can't pull this shit in the air anymore. Anyways, Meredith goes, and we were landing, and Lisa woke up, and I talked to her about it for probably 10 more minutes, maybe. I love that she talked about it. Lisa fell asleep, and then she woke up. I talked about it, kept going because I had more thoughts. And we see like the flight landing, and it's darkness. And Angie goes, we landed, and I turned around, and Brittany just melted into a puddle of tears. You are loved. You are loved. Meredith goes, I wasn't screaming. And then Angie in a text message goes, can you hear what they are saying? Brittany goes, it was horrible. I was so humiliated. Meredith goes, I wasn't physical. And I'm telling you, man, they should have had this on Halloween. This is a Halloween episode because the editing is so, like, by the way, the editors of Salt Lake, everybody on Salt Lake, you guys are fucking working at such a level. Holy shit, this is good. I wasn't physical. And then all of a sudden we see a movie, Crazy Rich Asians, on like an airplane. You know how you have like the little TV that you can pick movies, and it's always Crazy Rich Asians. It's always on the flight. And by the way, what did Crazy Rich Asians do to deserve this kind of slander? Like, come on, like maybe do like the Beethoven movies or something, right? But it's Crazy Rich Asians. And when he goes, Meredith is completely unhinged. And Heather goes, it was just an awful scene. It was just not, it was bad. And then everybody's like, the voiceovers are on top of each other. It was horrible. Annihilation, death, 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 red rum, brr, 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 brr. And then Meredith goes, obviously nothing was that deep because I would have been arrested by an air marshal. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it, you motherfuckers. We cut to a commercial. So we come back from commercial break and just, it's like we don't even have time to breathe and go, hey, that was a nice yacht vacation. Like, that was really cool. It was nice to see the ladies have a good, weird time. But we're immediately in it, you guys. They hit the ground running in the mean streets of Salt Lake City. Mary Cosby and Bronwyn are having lunch. And Mary's like, you were very smart not flying back with us. And Bronwyn's like, was it awful? And Mary goes, pure chaos. And Bronwyn's like, no. Like, no. Like, I love that when people act shocked. Like, of course it was pure chaos. You're the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, It's like saying, like, the Backstreet Boys isn't a great pop group. Like, like, Backstreet Boys isn't a great pop group. No, of course, no. It's like saying Backstreet Boys is a great pop group. And you're like, no, of course Backstreet Boys is a great pop group. Everyone's like, it couldn't have been that bad. And Mary's like, from the time we boarded, the time we sat in our seats, Meredith starts going in on Brittany. And remember, Mary Cosby hates Brittany. So Mary Cosby doesn't really have a horse in this race. So she's the reliable narrator here, folks. Because a lot of people have been going, well, what if what if Whitney got all these ladies to team up against fucking Meredith and Lisa? Come on. Can we live in the real world for a second? I love Meredith and Lisa. They're legends. But can we live in the real world? Mary goes, I have my own things with Brittany. But I feel like... And Bronwyn's like, I have things as well, but I feel bad for her. And Mary's like, at the end of the day, right is right and wrong is wrong. And then we get out of there and we're at the golf club. And Whitney is playing on the golf course with Justin. And Whitney's like, oh my gosh, I'm sore from all the plane rides and from pulling Heather off of Captain Jason. And Whitney goes, what I witnessed on the plane was the most unhinged, vulgar. Meredith lost her frickin' mind. And she started going for Brittany. And her husband's like, oh my gosh. I like when the ladies talk to their husbands on the show, because part of me thinks oh, they don't give a shit. Oh my gosh. And Lisa was in her ear, just pouring fuel on the fire. And then she'd look over to Brittany and be like, you fucked up. You owe Meredith an apology. You fucked up. And Justin's like, Lisa's saying this? Yeah. Yelling too? Yeah. Then she'd look at me and be like, Whitney, give us your phone. Show us the proof that TikTok doesn't exist. You guys, the TikTok doesn't, she means the TikTok video, not TikTok as an app. It's like, Trump said TikTok was going dark. It doesn't exist. You guys are liars. By the way, I want to take a moment to say I did actually get audio of this. I was sitting next to Brittany on this flight. It was just by pure happenstance. So I'm going to play you the audio right now of this, okay? So just don't pass this around, okay? So here's the audio. Yeah. Crazy Rich Asians is a pretty good movie. It's kind of a comfort movie, Lisa. I know. They truly are crazy rich Asians. You know who else is crazy? That fucking Brittany Bateman, right? Yeah, fuck you, Brittany. Pound. And then, pound. I'm going to pound on your chair. Yeah, Brittany, wake up, little bitch. Hey, I want to stuff that unicorn up your butt, Brittany. Yeah, Brittany, I'm going to stick uni up your butt. Show us TikTok. Whitney, show us the fucking TikTok. Come on. I know you're a swinger. Yeah, Brittany, hey, welcome to the jungle, baby. You're gonna die. You can't prove anything. Guess who's not getting caviar for Christmas? Hey, Brittany, look at these. Look at these. I'm putting up both of my arms right now. Hey, you got 2 tickets to the gun show, Brittany. Hey, yeah, you like that? Hey, guess what? Seth called. He thinks you're a fucking loser, Brittany. That's a small clip of the audio. Anyways, we get out of that Whitney scene, and Lisa is in the car with John Barlow. Now we have Lisa Barlow back home in the car with John Barlow. And Lisa's like, I have to tell you all about our trip, man. I like when like lovers call each other man and dude. I have to tell you all about our trip, dude. It was like crazy. We get on the plane. Meredith like lost her mind. Meredith's my friend. I like love her so much. I understand she was so upset. She was crying. Like she was so hurt. She was frustrated, John. And of course, fucking like, I love that the thought of this is that John picks her up in the airport, even though I don't know if that's the case. And she has a fucking, like, she has like chicken nuggets from Wendy's and fries. She's like, oh my God, I'm tired of that fucking yacht food that Ben cooked. Get me to Wendy's now. She didn't talk to Brittany, John. She was just saying all this like mean stuff about Brittany to me, watching Crazy Rich Asians. And like, I felt like she was being really loud. Now pay attention to this part of the mystery too. Lisa goes, Meredith, I thought was being really loud. So this is interesting. So things are adding up that Meredith had, but Lisa kind of backtracks later in the episode. John Barlow going, God, it was good to have you away for a couple days, but you're back. John's like, but you weren't saying anything to Brittany? And Lisa goes, no, I would never, John. You know me. I'm salt of the earth. I don't bully anybody. I would never. And John always like, oh God, she's fully lying to me right now. I would never, John. Was she hoping Brittany could hear it? Lisa goes, pardon me, I've got to take this bite of chicken nugget and talk with my mouth full. And John's like, was it loud enough? And Lisa goes, I don't know. To tell you the truth, I've never seen Meredith that upset. Except for the time I was on hot mic saying that she fucked half of New York and her fake fucking family. I've seen Meredith mad, John. I've never seen her that upset. I don't know. The whole thing was just like crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. She says crazy, 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 just crazy. Just like it's so crazy good that I'm eating these Wendy's fries. Wendy's sponsorship, Kerastas, what's going on? So we get out of that scene, right? And we're at the Grand Hyatt, the magnificent Grand Hyatt. And Heather walks in. Heather's like, I'm meeting a friend here. She should be coming shortly. So she gets seated outside, right? And we're like, who is she going to meet with outside? And the guy's like, would you like to start with anything to drink? And Heather's like, can we get 2 Diet Cokes? Like, what? I don't care about what these ladies order. Why do we always fucking see what they order? Anyways, Brittany comes into the scene. And Brittany, you guys, looks frazzled. Like, have you seen that movie, The Exorcist, when that little girl starts turning into like a demon and her hair gets all ratty, like she hasn't showered in a while and like she has like puke stains all over her? That's like the vibe that Brittany comes into this. She's like, hey, and I was like, I was so scared you were going to cancel. I kept checking my phone. And then Brittany hugs Heather like a beautiful like sisterhood of the traveling pants hug. Like I was like, how long have you guys been away from each other? And she's like, and Heather's like, I know. I'm like, what the fuck happened on this flight? But he's like, and I was like, did Meredith touch Brittany in an inappropriate way? Like, what is going on here? And I was like, I ordered you a Diet Coke. How are you? And Brittany's like, I don't even know how to answer that. And I was like, yeah, pretty stupid question for me to ask. It's okay, Brittany says. And there's silence. And she takes off her glasses. And I'm telling you, it looks like she's been crying since the beginning of time. And I was like, I'm just so sorry. And the guy's like, sorry for interrupting. I have your Diet Cokes. Do you need more time to see we have beautiful ahi tacos? And she's like, Brittany, do you want to get wine, sweetie? Well, and Brittany's like, I kind of do. I'm trying to dissociate. Just a glass of rosé, thank you. Okay, thanks so much. And Brittany's like, oh my gosh, Heather, I hardly have slept. I haven't eaten. I've had the shits. Heather's like, oh my God, this is not the way any trip should end. And there's no circumstances that would even justify the way you were treated. By the way, they were in first class. This is usually how I talk about being in like coach. It's like, there's no reason, like there's no way to justify how I am treated usually in coach. But they're talking about the way Meredith and Lisa treated Brittany, right? And Brittany's like, it's hard for me to even talk about. And I'm like, oh my God, is she going to go to therapy about this? And then Brittany goes, I can feel the trauma in my body. Jared can feel the trauma in my body as well. I feel like I've been hit by a truck. And in Brittany's defense, she does look like she's been hit by a truck. And Brittany's like, does that make sense? And Heather's like, yeah. And I saw that Lisa and Meredith were seated next to each other. There's something crazy vortex of bullying that happens when they're together. They just feed off each other. And I saw it happen, but I assumed that they would settle down and then I fell asleep. I like Heather of like, I watched them bully you for a while and then I just kind of nodded off. It was kind of relaxing just watching them really go in on you. And I eventually tapped out. Anywho, and Brittany's like, I know. And then Heather goes, so I hunkered down. And Brittany goes, I literally almost woke you up. Heather, I almost woke you up. Heather's like, I'm glad you didn't. It was a really nice sleep. And Heather goes, I wish you would have, for real. And Brittany's like, I mean, it got so out of control, Heather, like 4 hours in, and they were still at it. Like Meredith, like, give me your fucking food, Brittany. Give me your meal. I'm still hungry, Brittany. Give me your meal. I want your meal. It's like, how much money you have on you, Brittany? I want it. Give it to me. Brittany goes, there was hair. Brittany goes, there was hair pulling. Meredith goes, I'm going to grab your fucking hair. How you like that, Brittany? And Heather goes, what happened when Meredith got up to go to the bathroom? And Brittany goes, she grabbed my seat and just shook it like this and said, this one, this one, this one. Like, I love this show so much, but like, could I give a suggestion to the producers? Can we redo this episode and like do animation? You know, like the shitty animation you see or like a reenactment? Like I usually hate reenactments. I'm a big anti-reenactor, but could we do it for this one? Like just a reenactor and like cast people as these parts? Heather goes, I think that's when I kind of woke up in a haze and I thought you were laughing because I saw your chair shake. And I think Lisa said, you fucked up, show us the video, give us the video right now. And Brittany goes, so you heard her say that? Heather goes, I heard her say that. And that's when I think I woken up and was like, what are you doing? Leave her alone. And then they both came at me full force. Brittany in a talking head goes, I felt alone and I felt really vulnerable. I think they were just trying to make me feel really small. I'm a small girl. And I think they were just trying. I'm really disappointed in myself that eventually I started crying. And I just didn't want them to know they broke me. They broke poor Brittany finally. They broke her. Brittany says, Heather, the flight attendant kept checking on me like, are you okay, Miss Bateman? Is there anything we can get you, Miss Bateman? Are you okay? It would be crazy if the flight attendant. So it's like, the flight attendants checked on me, but it turns out they're huge Meredith Marks fans. Brittany goes, and I'm just like, I'm like, yeah, can I get some more water? It was so bad, Heather. It was so bad. And I'm telling you, Brittany, just look at her. It looks like, have you seen Castaway with Tom Hanks? You know, it's like he's all chubby in the beginning and then he's like on that island and then they come back like, 6 or 9 months later and he's like totally emaciated. Her face looks like completely emaciated all of a sudden, like she hasn't eaten since she got back from the trip. Once again, the guy's like, sorry for interrupting, ladies. I got your salads. Like, sorry for interrupting, ladies. I got your salads. Yeah, eat something, Brittany. Anyways, there's silence. And Brittany goes, I can't believe Lisa would turn on me like that. Like, I've been so good to her, you know? And Heather's like, you've really defended her and had her back. I really have, Heather. In a talking head, Brittany goes, I've been there for Lisa. I've defended her when she wasn't there, like, fiercely. And we flash back to all the times Brittany has stood up for Lisa, especially on the first episode when Lisa wasn't filming the first episode, right? And Brittany did go hard for Lisa, standing up. And Brittany's like, Lisa's a really true friend of mine. She's a good friend, and I'm not going to let someone throw shade when she's not here. Brittany tells Heather she was not only egging it on, she was a part of it, Heather. She was part of the kicking my seat. She farted on me, Heather, and she told me to my face that I deserved it. To my face. In a talking head, Brittany goes, I think it hurts worse that what Meredith did, that not only did Lisa not stand up for me, but she actually egged Meredith on to do what she did. Tim, that is like the ultimate betrayal. Heather, she is just as culpable as Meredith. And Heather's just like, zoinks. I don't know, Heather. I keep saying that I'm the unsinkable rubber ducky. Why would you ever say that about yourself? I'm the unsinkable rubber ducky. This is why you get bullied, Brittany. If I went around saying I'm the unsinkable rubber ducky, I'd be pushed into walls, probably into the lockers, right? But Brittany goes, but I feel really broken right now. Heather goes, you deserve support. You deserve dignity. You deserve protection. It's like that movie Carrie with Sissy Spacek. They're all going to laugh at you, Brittany. They're all going to laugh at you. Brittany's like at prom and like a bucket of pig's blood. It's like that whole deal. Heather goes, if our friends can't apologize and provide that for you, then they don't deserve your friendship. They don't deserve my friendship. And I'm the leader of this show. They don't deserve this friendship of this group. Heather says, I feel sad. And I feel guilty, she says it in a talking head, that I brought Brittany into this group and she's struggling. And it changes the way I feel about Meredith and Lisa. Oh my God, I just had a dark idea. What if this is the way Jen Shah gets back on the show because Meredith and Lisa pick on her? And then Brittany's like, like next season when Jen Shah's out of prison goes, hey guys, I got a friend who wants to talk to you guys. And it's Jen Shah. And she's like, prison rules, bitch, let's go. But Heather goes, they've taken it way too far, and it's not what friends do to each other. She goes, Brittany, I just want you to know that, like, if I've walked a line between, like, right and wrong, that line is gone. I am 100% on your side, no matter what. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. And Brittany smiles, goes, I love you. And it's nice. Like sometimes with extreme bullying, it can work in your favor where it's like finally Brittany's accepted by half of this women because they've kind of written Brittany off, right? And Heather goes, I love you too. And I'm like, okay, let's slow it down. Do we love each other? This isn't Captain Jason, Heather. And Heather just grabs her hand. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Heather. Thank you. Commercial break. Back from commercial, and we see Bronwyn walking on the mean streets of Salt Lake, and she looks like the Gilded Age, like crossed with Willy Wonka and Prince, because she's like all in purple, and she's like a purple chapeau and like a full-on purple like overcoat. It's like a crazy outfit. And they're at a place called Le Depot, and she has a reservation under 200 Bronwyn, she says, and Whitney comes in. I'm doing a scene with Bronwyn today at Le Depot. And she sits down. Whitney's in a kind of a smart little denim number. And Bronwyn's like, wow, okay, you look so cute in this denim number. I look like Prince from Batman. I haven't seen you. I hear all kinds of things, Whitney. And Whitney just stares at her like, what have you heard? You missed the flight from Hades, Bronwyn. What happened, Whitney? And then again, we get fucking interrupted by a waiter. Can we stop with the waiter interruptions? What? Hours at the end of my life, if I make it to heaven, and that's a big if. I always talk about heaven machines. There's got to be heaven machines where it gives you like fun facts of like during your lifetime. And if there is that, I want to tabulate how much of my life wasted watching like waiters take Housewives orders. At this point, I've got to have watched like a week worth of my life, watching like, hey ladies, how can I help you? And like, why do I need to know that Whitney ordered a half dozen oysters? Which actually, now that I'm thinking about, is good for swinging. But the guy's like, we have East Coast oysters today. Thank you. I'll take that. That's great. Oysters. And then your Brut Rosé. Brut Rosé. Okay. And Bron was like, okay, so the only person I've seen is Mary. She told me a little bit. What is her account? I want to hear what you know. She said Meredith kind of freaked out on the plane back and went ham on Brittany for hours. And when he goes, hours, that's true. It was hours. And we flash back to Mary going, Meredith goes completely off on Brittany, just tormenting her, nudging her chair, hitching her chair. And no one said anything to them. And Mary's like, no. And Lisa sat next to her and let her. And then Meredith's campaigning, wanting Brittany to be more livid. And everyone's like, oh, she was trying to turn you, Mary, against Brittany. And Mary's like, She complained the whole flight. And Mary's like, the entire flight. Whitney tells Bronwyn Meredith was completely unhinged, taunting her, terrorizing her, and poor Brittany was a puddle. Like she was hyperventilating. And Bronwyn's like, of course she was. I had stolen her uni earlier the day. And Lisa was yelling at her too. Lisa kept telling her, you effed up. You effed up. You effed up. It was ballistic. Oh my God. Oh my God. I don't know if it was fueled by alcohol, sleeping pills. I don't know what it was fueled by, but it was pure rage. This is horrible. I've never seen evil like this in my life. It was I've never seen anything. It was an explosion in the sky. It was pure rage. Somebody needs to do a horror trailer. It was pure rage and have like really intense horror music or like ding, 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 like the Halloween music. It was pure rage, Bronwyn. It was crazy rage. Bronwyn and a talking head's like, I don't know if it was being exaggerated. There's just no way this could have happened the way that Whitney's telling me it did on a commercial flight. And there's no cell phone footage. There's no Meredith got zip-tied to her chair. She got arrested by TSA when they landed. She's now on a permanent no-fly list. I would have taken a video of this happen on a flight I was on for sure. She's like, yeah, exactly. Bronwyn's totally right. And also, where were the fucking producers? Where were the Salt Lake City producers? Don't they make one of these producers watch these ladies? Like, you can't let Housewives just go unattended. You got to watch them. They're your responsibility from the moment you get on that flight to the moment you get off that flight. They got to be watched. They got to be herded like cattle, right? Bronwyn goes, well, Whitney, apparently Todd and Meredith need like a reminder of flight etiquette. And Whitney stares at her blankly, and I was like, uh-oh. Is this like a Todd farting on a flight? Like, I was like, oh no, did Todd like fart on a flight? Which I don't know this personally, but I've been told if you fart on a flight, nobody can tell like in the air. Like, it's like they can't hear you scream. Like, nobody can hear you fart on a flight. Like, somehow the pressurized cabin, you can't hear it, right? So just throwing that out there. So I was like, oh no, did Todd like have gas on a flight? But Bronwyn's like, And when he goes, wait, what? And Bronwyn's like, I don't know if you've seen on Twitter. This is the problem, too. These ladies got to get off social media, TikTok, Twitter, or like, let's just pick one social media to get upset with. I don't know if you've been on Twitter that people are accusing Todd of getting caught on a plane cheating on me. I landed in Salt Lake to a mess on Twitter. While Todd was on his flight to New York, someone caught him looking at photos of women on his phone. And we see a blind item. Is this Bravo and Cocktails or is this Dumois? And it says, sat behind Todd Bradley on a flight from SLC to JFK. Todd was looking at a photo and text of mysterious women in lingerie. Mysterious? What? Like, you could just say women in lingerie. What makes them mysterious women? Like, were they playing peekaboo? Like, what was mysterious? I'm sorry. This isn't funny. No, it's not funny. This is serious. And then all about TRH, all about the Real Housewives Twitter account says, Todd Bradley was spotted on his flight looking at women who weren't his wife. Now that's a little silly because, you're going to have to look at women in this life, right? And when he goes, do you believe this random person? And Bron was like, yeah. And when he goes, you do? Yeah, I do. Because they knew where Todd was sitting on the plane. They said they were sitting behind him. They knew what flight he was on. I love that Todd gets out there in public on a plane and is like, time to look at mysterious ladies in law. I'm going to look at mysterious ladies in law. I'm so upset about what Lisa Barlow's talking about me that I'm going to look at mysterious women in lingerie in public. And when he goes, I'm sorry, Bronwyn. When he came home, I was like, what is this shit on Twitter, Todd? And he goes, ask your friends. They love to dabble in this kind of gossip and nonsense. It's probably them. And Bronwyn's like, no. I was like, no, Todd, absolutely fucking not. In a talking head, Bronwyn goes, when I first got this screenshot of a tweet sent to me, I was furious with him. So Todd had a business trip he was leaving for the next day, and I suggested maybe he stay at a hotel. And she goes, I'm not going to say it cute. I told Todd he needed to stay at a hotel that night and leave for his business trip the next day or early. We need some space from each other. Now, if you're Todd, though, are you like, fuck that. I pay for this, all of this. You go to a hotel. Fuck. And Bronwyn says, Whitney, I think what they're making on Twitter is Todd must have been talking to somebody behind my back and they were sending him photos. If it was someone sending him photos, Whitney, and we talked about it ahead of time, it wouldn't bother me. So this is interesting, right? This is a very honest conversation. I love this conversation because what you're about to hear Whitney say as well is very like the same, where it sounds like they have arrangements in their marriages, which by the way, let your freak flag fly. Whatever you choose to do in your relationship, as long as you've agreed on some ground rules. But it seems like she says if Todd had checked it out, like she would have been okay with him looking at these mysterious lingerie photos if, he had told her about them, right? But Braun's like, yeah, we talked about it ahead of time. It wouldn't bother me. On this flight, Braun, I'm going to check out some mysterious women in lingerie, or I just wanted to keep you updated. And Braun goes, and I don't know that I could say that to anybody else in this group of friends except for you, you mysterious, freaky sex swinger, Whitney. I think you and I are the same age, and I love that it's an age thing. We're very young and progressive, and we do weird things with our bodies, right, Whitney? She goes, I think you and I are the most out of Mormonism of everybody in this group. If Todd said, oh my God, do you think Whitney and Braun have hooked up? That's a question to ask him at BravoCon. Oh my God, amazing. Hey, Braun, you hook up with Whitney? Hey, Ryan, why'd you get that thrown out of BravoCon on Friday? Don't worry about it. But Braun goes, if Todd said to me, I'd like to sleep with other people or I'd like us to do it together, I would at least try it. And Whitney kind of leans in like, oh, cool, game on, right? Look, I don't want to be done with Todd. I want to evolve with Todd, and I need him to evolve with me. Does he understand that, Bronwyn? I don't think we're all the way there yet, no. And then when he goes, what is the agreement? And Bronwyn says, so that's what irritates me, is we don't have one. I would rather when Lisa says, oh, I heard Todd was making out with someone, I'm like, I bet he was. I picked her for him. Yeah, pick me a winner, Bronwyn, so I can fart all over her. And Bronwyn's like, what else I would say then, Lisa? What else? Ha 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 ha. And when he goes, I understand fully. I went through this with Justin. And Bronwyn's like, okay, tell me about that. This is just like Bronwyn looking at mysterious lingerie photos in public because they're having a full talk about like potential elements of sexy time in relationships, just out at lunch, just eating salads, right? I love it. When he goes, we have a lot of friends that live in like different lifestyles, and a lot of my friends have different agreements. Obviously, with our age difference, like we've talked about it a lot. Listen, we've been married 15 years, together 17, and there has been times where, like we've been on the outs, like I thought it was done. And Bronwyn's like, yes, of course. I was like, okay, who's out there? What's going on around? And Bronwyn's like, okay, oh, good for you, Whitney, good for you. And he was doing the same. Justin and I'm not going to start a rumor about myself. We're not in like an open relationship. And Bronwyn's like, I know you're not. Of course. I know you're not. Of course not. Of course. That's crazy. But if there's something like that I want to do, that I would bring it to Justin and we talk about it. Hey, Justin, I want to stick this pole in this dude's butt. Is that cool with you? Yeah, go for it, babe. But the agreement, and everyone has to like with my friends, the agreement. By the way, you guys, what she's describing is exactly what we said in season 1 is a swinger lifestyle. So I love, she's like, it's not an open marriage, but like what she's describing is very specifically a swinging relation. We all put keys in this bowl and then we pick a key and then we go home with that person. But when he goes, the minute you break trust with the agreement, it's over. So you can't do anything behind each other's backs. You have to follow the rules. And he was doing the same. But the best thing I ever did was speak what I need and want. You know me, I'm wild. Like if I go out for a night, who knows? What the fuck? My agreement with my husband is I'm not going to do anything stupid. I'm always going to get home safe and I'll always communicate with him. Sorry. Where do people find the time, man? When he goes, I just think that life is meant to be lived. I want to live out loud, Bronwyn, and marriage is sacred. And Bronwyn goes, I am happy. I know you're happy with Justin, and I'm happy with Todd, but it has to also work. I don't want to be married to anyone else, Bronwyn. I never do. Justin's my man, and he's an amazing husband. But you have to live your life. And they're older than us. It's a natural thing that's going to happen. So agreements, they're older. They're going to die one day because they're much older than us. So agreements need to be had. And Roman's like, we need to be evolving the same place, the same direction. At least Todd can do what he wants to do and I can do what I want to do. But we still need to be a partnership. I want to be the only woman he farts on continuously. 1,000%, Roman. And Roman's like, I knew you would understand, because it's not that I want something so different, but a little change. You course correct a little bit, it goes really far off, and we need to be going the same place. Yes, there's been times where I thought I want something different. There's just been times when Justin wants something different, but communicating through it, we went to therapy and got to the root of why we were feeling that, and we realized we were just missing each other in our own relationship, and we wanted to fuck a lot of different people. But I'm never going to say never. When my kids are out of the house, I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm talking butt stuff, Bronwyn. And then when he goes, I'll invite you to my parties, Bronwyn. And Bronwyn's like, by then we'll be deep in our own arrangement too, so I'll come. It's great to find friends that we will future fuck. You guys, this episode is so stacked. Like, we're on to another scene. Now we're at Angie's house. And Angie's with her daughter, Electra. And Angie, of course, is wearing a big Greek flag sweater. And I was like, oh, right. And Angie's like, I'm so glad to have time with Electra before she leaves for her next horse show, because after all the chaos with the women, she keeps me grounded. And then she goes, Electra, look, did you notice my sweater? And Electra's like, yeah. Do you love it? And then Electra goes, no. I love the cut of this Electra's jib. And Angie's like, I was thinking not a lot of sports are Olympic sports. And your sport is one of the most beautiful sports in the world. Imagine if you can, I was like, does she play pickleball? Imagine if you continue on, you could actually compete in the Olympics for Greece. What do you think of that, Electra? And Electra's like, I think that's a bad idea, Mom. I don't want to ride for Greece. That doesn't make sense. I just don't know why I would represent Greece if I'm born in the United States. That's right. Fucking love it or leave it, dude. USA. USA. And Angie's like, what? And Electra's like, hey, Papu didn't immigrate for me to represent Greece. And Angie goes, well, I'm sure that wasn't on his radar at 17 years old. Being Greek is your roots, Electra, and it's where your ancestors are from. And I can relate. When I was 13 years old, I never thought about being Greek or being American. And this is normal. Every kid rebels against Greek or Greece at some point, right? I remember when I was 13, I was like, fuck Greece, fuck you, Greece, right? The movie, not the country. Angie's like, none of this stuff even crossed my mind. But the fact is, you are Greek. And Electra goes, I'm aware. And we always joke about Angie being Greek, but I just love that the reality is that Angie really does, even when the cameras are down, is just like, hey, Greek, huh? Greek. Angie goes, Electra, it's an honor to have roots in a country that started civilization, right? Every time we go there, you've gotten to see where Papu's from and all the hardships he went through. And you're sitting in this beautiful house with a roof over your head, with food, with beautiful Mediterranean Greek food, with hummus, with shoes, all the things that Papu never had. Do you know why you're riding that horse that costs as much as my Porsche? And Electra's like, whoa, what? One day when my daughter's of age, I'm going to have her like, like, do you know how much that goat you ride? That goat is more expensive than my Camry. But Angie's like, yeah. And I think just the thought of having all this, because he didn't make me, makes me even more grateful for the country that he came from, Electra. That is why I'm considering becoming a dual citizen. That is why I'm introducing a storyline for the rest of the season. Electra goes, I think I resonate more with Dad's side of the family history. The mean streets of Salt Lake City. Papa's a trainer. Papa's grandpa was a trainer. Angie in a talking head goes, I wasn't raised around horses, so it hurts to know that she's more connected to something that I don't know a lot about. I just want Electra to embrace being Greek and the heritage and the culture. I'm hoping that it's just a phase. And by the way, Angie's like tearing up in this talking head. I'm like, But this is so like the Fudge College scene a couple seasons ago with Lisa and her son of like, Fudge College, Mom. No, you gotta go to college. Fudge College, Mom. Fudge Grease, Mom. Angie goes, I hope she comes back around. Yeah, all kids eventually love Greek and Greece. And Angie goes, you're like forcing the Greekness upon me. And like, you won't let me wear anything but Greek, and you don't wear anything but Greek. You have Greek mugs. You got Greek sweaters. You make me take Greek lessons. You make me friggin' go to Greek church. But guess what? I had to do all those things too, Electra. And do you know at your age, I didn't want to go to Sunday school. I didn't want to have to go to Greek dance. I didn't want to have to go to Greek school. But now I'm so glad that I did it. You know how many people wish they knew more about Greece? Where their parents or grandparents are come from? I spent my whole life, Electra, saying my dad was an immigrant. I didn't say my mom was an immigrant. I didn't go to my mom's village. I don't know anything about my mom's childhood or my mom's history. And I don't want you to wait until you're my age, 32, to feel connected to me and my roots. And then Electra goes, I got the point. It's not that I like dad's side more. It's just that like, do what they do, I guess. I support that, Electra. I just want to share with you why this is really special to me. And I think it's going to mean a lot to Papu. And I think one day it's going to mean a lot to you. And Electra goes, maybe. I love Electra. I think Electra's a badass, like all joking aside. And Electra goes, maybe in the future. I don't know. And Angie goes, maybe in the future. And me at home goes, maybe in the future. That's right. I'm going to embrace my Greekness this weekend at BravoCon. Anyways, so now our next scene. This is such a great scene. Heather and Lisa Barlow. And, you know, I'm tough on Heather, but I love that she stands up to Lisa Barlow in this scene. She doesn't back down. So this place Marmalade, and Heather has to wait like an hour and a half. Lisa Barlow just doesn't show up. And then Lisa comes in. It's like, what's going on? How are you? It's like cold and warm. And Heather's like, I know it was warm when I left my house, but when it was snowing when I got here, I know it's crazy, Heather. The weather's crazy. Just like the island. And Heather stares at Lisa. And the lady goes, I do have some beignets for you ladies. And Lisa goes, oh my God. Do you guys want to start off more fucking waiter? Do you guys want to start off with some coffee or fresh squeezed OJ? And Heather's like, can I get this coffee old fashioned? I want to do cranberry juice because I have a UTI with soda water with 2 limes. Thank you. The beignets look good, Heather. I want to see if they're as good as mine. And Heather goes, oh yeah, at your lounge. I love our beignets at our lounge. This isn't placement. This isn't an advertisement for our lounge about our beignets. How's it going, Heather? And Heather kind of makes like, ugh. And Lisa just like shaking her head and goes, it was a lot. It was a lot. And Heather goes, it was a lot. And Heather just keeps like doing like a rooster thing with her head of like, uh-huh. And Heather goes, I feel like it was a rough reentry, obviously. And Lisa goes, Meredith was upset, frustrated, and I wanted to soothe her and it didn't work. But it was a lot. And she keeps doing the head bobbing. And Heather goes, I just want to kind of talk about like the whole thing from like the beginning when it started to like where we're at now, because Brittany doesn't want to be around you. And Lisa goes, me? Tin Rope Rusted, me? And Heather goes, yeah, she's totally. Why me, Heather? Because you were like, I didn't do anything to her. I did nothing to Brittany. I just kept saying, send her the fucking TikTok. I just kept cursing at her. I just said, send her the fucking TikTok, you fucking bitch. Heather goes, no, you kept telling her she fucked up. No, I did not. You got to blow that shit wax out of your ears. No, no. And you're like, no, Lisa, you said you fucked up, Brittany. You fucked up. Show her the TikTok. I just said, send her the TikTok. It started when we got to the airport. And I said, please. Meredith started freaking out when we were going through Barbados because she was carrying 3 kilos of cocaine with her, allegedly. And we had to get our bags. And Heather goes, you were ganging up on Brittany. I didn't gang up on her. And it felt like we were trapped in a plane, Lisa. You trapped, and Lisa's like, I didn't say one thing other to her. You said you were crazy. No. Lisa, you were egging her on. You were antagonizing, and they're talking over each other. Lisa's like, I did not. I was not antagonizing. And Heather's like, what? She said that. And Lisa's like, she did? In a talking head, Lisa goes, Heather is trying to lump me into this? Like, what the fuck? Like, you're not my God. You're not my judge. This needs to be on a shirt. You're not my God. You're not my judge, L. Barlow. You're not my God. You're not my Tamara Judge. Who the fuck do you think you are? She tells Heather, Meredith wasn't even talking to her, first of all. Meredith was yelling at me about her the whole plane ride. She was like getting so upset, Heather, and she started screaming, Whitney, where's the TikTok? Where's the TikTok? So I just leaned over my chair. I was like, what's up? She was like sitting right in front of me, and I was like, Brittany, where's the fucking TikTok? Just give her the fucking TikTok. Can you imagine Lisa Barlow just popping out, where's the fucking TikTok? Like this weekend, I would pay for cameos from Lisa Barlow where she pops into frame and goes, where's the fucking TikTok, Ryan? And if you guys all had a problem with it, somebody else should have stepped in. And Heather goes, I did step in after my 4-hour nap. I was sound asleep until the very end. You guys yelling at me is what woke everybody up. I did not yell at you once. I did nothing to Brittany. Now watch Lisa. Remember, we talk about Lisa in conflict. She like pivots really so pivot, she'll like defend herself. She'll usually go to tears. She'll blink her eyes. You got to watch. She's like a genius. Heather goes, why did 4 women have to gather around her, physically help her off the plane, pull her hair out of her face, get her redressed, and get her through customs? You saw all that happening, Lisa. Who are the 4 women? Were you does she mean Heather? Like, were they the 4 women? Like, redressing her. You took her out of all of her clothes? And then Lisa goes, I was preserving my peace. That's beautiful. I was preserving. She's like Gwyneth Paltrow, conscious, unconscious coupling. I was preserving my peace. I don't know why that's so complicated for everyone. And Heather goes, well, I don't know why someone should be punished because they don't do what you tell them to do. And Lisa's like, I don't know why you're punishing me. And Heather's like, I'm not punishing you. I'm talking to you as a friend. And Heather's like, I'm talking to you as a friend. And the waiter's like, I'm talking to you both as friends. Do you want more beignets? And Heather's like, I don't feel like you are talking to me as a friend, Lisa. And then they just stare at each other as we go to commercial. Oh, you guys, my heart was like pitter-pattering. It was so tense. And Heather goes, I don't know why somebody should be punished because they don't do what you tell them. And Lisa goes, I don't know why you're punishing me. I'm not punishing you. So we go back and repeat that as coming back from commercial break. And then Lisa goes, if Brittany's upset, I feel horrible for her being upset, but can she take responsibility for anything? And Heather goes, so it feels like you're saying she deserved it? I am not saying she deserved it. Heather goes, Brittany was sobbing, Lisa, and felt wine being splashed on a dark Merlot being splashed on her and her chair being moved. And Lisa keeps going, no. And bullied, Lisa, by you guys for the entire fucking flight. I did not bully her and hassle her. Don't put me in that statement. I'm telling you how Brittany felt, Lisa. And by the way, Lisa keeps chewing the entire time. These are really good fucking beignets. Heather's like, why would she think her chair was being jostled? And Lisa goes, Meredith said when she got up to go to the bathroom, she grabbed her chair to leverage, like get herself up. You know how fucking klutzy Meredith is. Like, that's what it was. Heather goes, spilling wine on her. And Lisa goes, the wine went on me, Heather. She was like talking with her hands and she starts shaking her hands, which is so funny because that's like a seizure-like moment, which like Brittany says, Brittany got Meredith pissed at her for saying she had like seizure things. And Lisa goes, you know, Meredith, she has like shaky hands and like spilled the wine everywhere. She was like facing like me like this and it went all over me. And Heather goes, it got on Brittany. And Lisa goes, it didn't get on Brittany. And Heather goes, I was on the fucking plane. Why are you telling me a different version of what I saw? And Lisa goes, because you said you were sleeping. And Heather goes, not at the end. Not when you guys were yelling at me. I didn't yell at you at all. I was like, she's really upset. And you were basically telling me to control Meredith. I have zero control of Meredith. You have all said that to me. Control Meredith. How am I going to control Meredith? She's a wild stallion. You were 3 feet away from her. And Heather goes, the second I woke up, I did. And she was not happy about it. Nobody said anything but me just holding her arm. And Heather goes, nobody said anything? I got in this huge fight with her. And Lisa goes, after you got off the plane. Heather goes, no, that happened in the seats. And Lisa goes, no, I was helping defuse her. I was keeping her away from Brittany. I don't agree with what she said, and I'm not going to be held responsible for what she said. Heather in a talking head goes, I can't believe that she's looking at me straight in the eye and saying I did nothing wrong. Like I didn't witness and see all of it. And by the way, if you go back and watch this scene, behind Heather, there's a table, and the editing is a little janky here because at one point the table's empty, and then the next part, the table's full, and then the table's empty again, and then this table's full. There's like disappearing people in the background, so the edit's a little weird. Anyways, I hate to ruin, I don't want to burst anybody's bubble there. Lisa goes, I do think Brittany needs to take accountability for being fucking annoying. And Heather's like, she's a fucking victim in this situation. She doesn't have to do anything, Lisa. And then Lisa goes, don't put this on me. And then Lisa starts the tears. Don't put this on me. You guys are fucking bitches for constantly putting stuff on me. Heather goes, I'm trying to have you have an honest conversation about our friend. And Lisa's like, no, this isn't an honest conversation. It isn't. This is an accusatory conversation. And Heather's like, no. You're on the defense, Lisa. No. And Heather's like, you're refusing to say our friend was hurt. I am not on the defense. I am not on the defense. I am on the offense. I'm a big offense. I'm just saying how it was. And Heather goes, it was a horrible situation. And then Lisa goes, there's times when you've hurt Brittany too. I've tried really hard to be a great friend to Brittany. And Heather goes, of course, I'm trying to be a really great friend to you right now. Listen. And Heather goes, this is a crisis. This is a problem. In a talking head, Lisa goes, Brittany has been a good friend to me in the past, and I've been a great friend to Brittany in the past, but I draw the line when it comes to Meredith and her marriage. How many years are we going to talk about this? Like, Brittany took no accountability for the fact that she's trying to hurt Meredith and her family. Like, it's like mental to me. Am I in like Willy Wonka like land? Which is weird because Meredith does look like an Oompa Loompa in the talking head with the makeup. It looks like my spray tan right now. But Lisa goes, and like an Oompa Loompa going to come out? Like, this is nuts to me. Like, I at least want some chocolate, some Willy Wonka chocolate for all this. For like, honestly, it's cuckoo town. It's cuckoo town. Cuckoo bananas. Heather, I'm done. I'm done with this conversation. I'm done with all. And then Heather goes, you can fucking leave. I'm the fucking bitch. You call me a fucking bitch, Lisa? You can fucking leave. And then this is all bleeped out. Like, it's so great. Lisa's like, you call me a beep, bloop, bleep, bloop, bleep, bleep. You call me fucking bitch, beep. And then I was like, you beep, beep, bloop, 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 bloop. And then Lisa's like, I'm not leaving. I'm drinking my juice. I'm not leaving. And Heather goes, I waited an hour for you. And Lisa goes, you're trying to put this all on me. Heather says, this is bullshit. I was there. I saw what happened. I know that Lisa was a part of it. I saw that Lisa be a part of it. She got it mad at me over it. She's trying to like change our reality. And it's dismissive and it's demeaning. I mean, this is the Lisa that made it really hard for us to have a real friendship. She goes, Lisa, I went to lunch with our friend, a friend that you say that you've been a good friend to, that you care about. She is destroyed and devastated and doesn't want to be around you, doesn't want to be around Meredith. And you're just like, well, she's wrong. I feel bad for her. You want me to sit here and take accountability for things I'm not responsible for. And Heather goes, I don't want you to do anything but be a good friend. And I'm talking to you because if you really do care about Brittany and you really are a good friend to Brittany, then you should be horrified that she is still upset, that she is scared to be around you, and that she thinks you're a part of it. What you did, no matter what your intentions were, you know what I'm responsible for? And Heather goes, your intentions did not land with her friend. She was very upset and hurt. And Lisa goes, she's upset with the wrong person. She should be upset with Alaska Airlines. And then Lisa's like bobbing her head and chewing on her finger like, I'm going to bite my finger. This is crazy. So we get out of that scene. So intense. Okay, so now it's Meredith Marks. She pulls up to this like restaurant, and Mary Cosby's like looking at the menu. She's already there. Looking, I'm gonna have. She looks like she's like doing a weird pursing her lips while she's looking at the menu. Like you can just think she's like, ooh, cheeseburger. And Meredith's like walking in. Hello, Mary Cosby. Hello. How are you? Good, Mary. Good. No, good, Meredith. Good. I love this outfit, Mary Cosby. The coat's stunning. Thank you. It's Old Navy. How are you feeling? Mary goes, I feel pretty good, Mary Cosby. How about you? And Mary goes, once again, we're interrupted by a fucking waiter. Real Housewives of waiters in fucking Salt Lake City. Cocktails on one side, food on the other. Well, I just like Arabian iced tea. And Mary's like, Sauvignon Blanc? I'd like a Sauvignon Blanc. Okay, great. Okay, orders are out of the way. And Mary goes, How do I say this? How are you doing? And Meredith's like, you know what? I'm good. I feel like, And they're just staring at each other. And Mary goes, I feel like the last time I saw you, like you was not happy. You was not in a good place. I've known you quite some time now, Meredith. And I know when you get angry. I see when you go off and you lose it and you're like, you know what? Enough. This was different. And Meredith's just staring at her like, huh? And they're now staring at each other. And Meredith goes, what is it that you think happened? Because I think there's a lot. And Mary goes, I don't think anything. I was there. I was there. And there's like weird drums in the background. We cut to our last commercial break. We come back from break and Meredith goes, the reality is, I was upset. I vented to a friend. Brittany had headphones on. I didn't even think she could hear anything I was saying. And Mary goes, I think you wanted her to hear you. The things I said to Lisa, Mary Cosby, were all things I've said to Brittany. The things that I chose not to say are things I haven't said to Brittany, and I made a choice not to say that. So in Meredith's story, she's like a fucking hero. I made a choice not to say that she fucking smells like old cheese. Yeah. Mary goes, well, I'm just going to say this. It went on. It went on for a minute. It was about 15 minutes, Mary Cosby. And Mary goes, no, Meredith. Mary Cosby, no, Meredith. And Meredith sipping her iced tea. Yeah, it was. It was 15 minutes. No, Meredith. Mary goes, I love, like, the scene is great because Mary seems like totally normal and she seems like she's like truly shocked and scared and worried for her friend. Mary's like, I feel a little concerned because I feel like it was a little bit longer than you remember. And Mary goes, you were there. And she smiled, you were there, but I also know I was sleeping and I watched 2 movies and I slept for over an hour. That Oppenheimer, wow, Barbenheimer. I did Barbie and Oppenheimer on the plane. Mary goes, it was definitely longer. Meredith goes, so it was 30 minutes? There's only so much time on the flight. Unless they hit a time portal. If you know anything about time portals, if you hit that, 2 hours, they could have done 7 days and it felt like 2 hours, but time portals, we'll see if that comes up later in the season. Mary in a talking head says, I don't understand why Meredith is coming up with a different story than what really happened. We were there. I was there in the flesh. I seen it with my own eyes. I heard it with my own ears. Meredith's in Mars and we're in Venus. I don't know. Where did Mary Cosby even come with Meredith's in Mars and I'm in Venus? I don't know. And then Meredith just goes, I don't know. Mary? So anyone telling you anything different? And Mary goes, well, no one can tell me anything. I was there. Mary goes, you were sleeping for most of the flight. I'm going to gaslight you within an inch of your life. You were sleeping most of the flight. Mary goes, yeah, but every time I woke up, I heard you. Mary goes, well, that's impossible. You were across the plane. I wasn't across the plane, Meredith. And then we see the seating arrangement. This is first class. We got Angie. Then behind Angie, we got Mary and Whitney. On the other side is Brittany. Now, behind Whitney, we have Heather. Across from Heather, we have Lisa and Meredith. So these are 3 rows, right? Where's Angie K in all of this? But Meredith's like, you were far away, the other side of the plane. No, she was just on the other side of the aisle. Mary goes, I was in the window seat, a row in front of yours. And Mary says, yeah, I said the other side of the plane. Mary goes, I still heard you. I shouldn't have even heard you if I was across the plane. And Mary goes, correct. And Mary goes, I shouldn't have heard it, but I did. And then Meredith goes, I can't speak to what you could hear or could. You might have super special hearing, Mary Cosby. We might have to stay. You might be a mutant. And Mary goes, well, do you remember Whitney saying, Meredith, please be quiet? People are complaining. But isn't it interesting if you think about the details from the past couple of seasons? Remember Brittany saying Meredith was crying and throwing up in the middle of the night? There are a lot of weird stories about Meredith and how she acts off camera. And it feels like Meredith goes to a dark place sometimes. Like, obviously, you see it on the show when she explodes. Like, you can't leave. But, like, maybe Meredith like just forgets pockets of like, I don't know. Anyways, Meredith goes, she never said people were complaining. Nobody asked me to be quiet. No one complained. And if I was yelling and screaming, I would have had an air marshal there waiting to arrest me. And Mary goes, I am not here to debate, Meredith. Meredith goes, this is being spun into something it's not. I was in my feelings about a fucking asshole. I vented to a friend. And Mary goes, it's not spun into that something wasn't, Meredith. We were all there. We were there. I was there. I was there. Meredith, it concerns me, Meredith, because I want you to remember what happened. Meredith goes, I do remember. Meredith goes, I feel like you don't. I feel like you don't. I do. I feel like you don't. And I'm not saying that in a tactic way. I do remember Mary Cosby. So Mary's saying, I'm not saying this in a weird way. I'm just worried about you. Mary goes, I was tuned into you, Meredith, because I was concerned. You are Meredith Marks. You care how you're projected. You have an image, Meredith Marks. But I also think it's important to take accountability and move forward from it. Meredith goes, I said things venting to a friend that I've said directly to her. I didn't know she was listening, and it's a shame that she was. She should mind her own fucking business. In a talking head, Meredith goes, I don't think that Mary could have really seen or heard much of anything because she couldn't see me from where she was sitting unless she literally stood up and turned around. She even had headphones on when I got up and walked by her. I don't really know what she thinks happened, but it doesn't line up with what I know happened. And Lisa was sitting next to me. She knows what happened. I think Whitney got into Mary's ears. Mary, you've got to come against Meredith with me. You've got to really go hard in the paint against Meredith. No fucking way. Are you out of here? Let's live in the real world. I think Whitney told Mary in her ear that these things happened, and Mary believed her. But it's a big nothing sandwich. There's nothing else to it. Big nothing sandwich. Mary, I have no interest in trying to, hurt somebody. I mean, I will. She wants to hurt me. Mary goes, so would you be willing to be like, Brittany, the situation was bad, and I apologize? And Mary goes, is that what you think I should do? And Mary goes, for your wellness, I think it'd be healthy. Yeah. In a talking head, Mary Cosby goes, moving forward with this group and not being able to take accountability for nothing, that's going to be hard. You will never grow. You will never evolve like that, ever. Meredith goes, I don't know, Mary Cosby. I'll have to think it through. What's in it for me? What's in it for good old Meredith Marks? The end of a classic episode. And then we have our mid-season trailer, and it starts off at Voltaire's, the famous Voltaire's restaurant. Voltaire passed away, unfortunately, a couple years ago. And Mary, having another luncheon, goes, I invited you all because we should be able to come together and just apologize. And then we see people in Hamilton wigs and Heather going, I didn't make out with someone. And then Bronwyn says, and neither did fucking Todd. And then Whitney in another scene screaming, going, you did this. And then Angie screaming, are you fucking kidding me? What did you just allude to? And then back to the Voltaires where Mary goes, is this a fight? And then Angie says, later this season on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And we see the Greek flag. We see Whitney kiss Bronwyn on the lips. Dude, they're going to fucking do the hippity dippity, you guys. We see ladies drinking. We see Heather humping something in a Greek. Oh, God, Heather with the humping. Heather loves a good hump, man. I'm sorry. The humping really just threw me off there. We see Whitney coming in topless and Angie in a scene going, I'm going to apologize in advance for my friends. We see Whitney fall down on the cement. We see Whitney talking to Bronwyn with messed up hair going, you're not wearing your wedding ring. And Bronwyn's like, yes. And Heather goes, do you want time or are you done, Bronwyn? And then we see a scene with Todd and Todd going, it's nobody's business. Why do they have to be shared with a group of untrustworthy friends? And then we see Jared Osmond talking to Bertani. What I'm looking for is somebody that's stable. And then we see Brittany running into the woods. This is exactly why I break up with you. And Jared's like, this is really how it's going to end. and just Brittany just walking into the woods. And then John Barlow talking to Lisa and John going, if we're not on the same page, it's because I'm not on your page. You flat out said that's not worth doing. And Lisa goes, I just feel. And John goes, no, let me finish. And then Bronwyn in a scene going, we have to be honest about this. And Mary saying, I'm going to say how I feel. And if you don't like it, too bad. And then Meredith going, I don't care. And then we hear bells ringing, and we're at Mary's church, which is very dark to think about that TLC docuseries about her church that's going to come out. And we hear Mary preaching, God don't put no more on you than you can bear. God give me peace. And then Angie and Grease going, I feel lucky to have you as friends. And then Mary Cosby's voice, God gave me love. And then Lisa saying, even when things are hard and tough, I love you guys. God gave me power. I see a core of women that I can respect and trust. And we see all of the ladies' mirrors like, I'm like, where do we go from here? And then Mary screaming into the mic at church, this is our place. And Heather like being moved by the Spirit of the Lord, or she's like dry humping again. God, in the name of Jesus, I love every one of you. You guys, it's 2 a.m. over here. I got to get sleep. I can't believe. But what a great episode. I know I didn't do it justice. I wish I did that better, but it's just been a long ass day. But I hope you still found some time. I hope you found some of that enjoyable. Anyways, I'll be updating Patreon all weekend. I'll be posting a lot on Instagram. I'll try to take you as much into this with me as possible. And yeah, have a great Thursday, guys. Bye.